So this is from NBC News. Parents file a police report after a teacher offers LGBTQ themed book to her middle schoolers. So Sarah Bonner has been an Illinois middle school teacher for 20 years, and she has always tried to offer her students a diverse collection of books. This year, a parent called the police over her book choice when she held a book tasting for students. One of those books was Juno Dawson's This Book is Gay. It's a best-selling nonfiction book that's billed by its publisher as an entertaining and informative instruction manual for anyone coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or trans. So, initially, I'm somebody who's very into free speech, very against the idea of banning books. So at first I was like, oh wow, this looks bad. When I looked into it, I very quickly realized there was a little more to this story than NBC News let on.
Yeah, and the only reason I caught on to that was because I did some work with Gays Against Groomers like a few months ago, and I remember looking at this book, and I'm like, I know that book. That book is not appropriate because it was held up in a school board meeting, and they had to censor it on TV. Like, the book talks about eating feces as a kink. It talks about instructions on how to meet people online and hook up with them. And it's it's disgusting. And I'm like, okay, this is why you got to do your research, people, because a lot of the time it's not actually because they're targeting you because you're gay. It's just because it's literal porn.
Yeah, so the book has sexually explicit diagrams, a how-to guide on quote-unquote boy-on-boy sex. It has a guide.
I love how it's boy on boy, not like man on man.
Well, because it's specifically targeted to kids.
I know.
It has an appendix that explains what a strap-on is, what rimming is. This book is very sexually explicit, and we're talking about it being given to middle schoolers. And then somebody reported this to the police, which maybe it's not necessarily a police matter, but the school district, I think appropriately, placed her on paid administrative leave while they investigated her, and then she quit. She didn't even wait for the results of the investigation. She resigned. So it's like, clearly, I think she knew she did something wrong because she didn't even protest this or try to fight and keep her job. She just quit. And people are so quick to say this is just homophobia or these rube parents who don't want their kids to learn that gay people exist or something. And it's like, no, we're talking about middle schoolers that were given books that are wildly sexually explicit. Why are people defending that in our name? I find that kind of offensive.
Well, we've gotten lazy. You read the top of an article, and then you read whatever, confirms your biases, and then you just move with it. And it's really unfortunate because journalism is supposed to bring things to light, and that's just not the case anymore. Nobody is actually doing their own research, and I don't blame them. That's the job of journalism, but it's just not happening anymore. Everybody wants to be in their own echo chambers, and they'll use little situations like this to reinforce them. And I hope that there is a reckoning in the journalistic field within the next 5 to 10 years, but I just don't see it happening unless it becomes all from, independent content creators like us.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I learned the truth about this story from the Twitter notes, which is the community fact-checking of this tweet from NBC News, which now has 25 million views because they really got exposed for this misleading reporting, because they even put the image for the article. They put a photo of the teacher holding up a book that's not the book she got in trouble for.
Right. Well, if I didn't read the article, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, what book is that? So then I read the article, and then I realized the book they were talking about. I was like, that's not even the same book.
It's very misleading.
They purposefully lied. That's not even a mistake.
Because this NBC News article doesn't contain a single detail that we gave the listeners and the viewers about what's in the book. Just calls it an LGBTQ book, doesn't mention any of the sex stuff, any of the guide to going on the internet for hookups, anything. And this book is actually on the list of the 10 most banned books in America, which I, again, am not somebody who generally supports the idea of banning books. But first off, removing a book from a school library isn't the same as really banning it. But in some cases, I have seen examples where they're removing books from libraries that I don't think should be removed. But it's not helpful when they're conflating that with removing wildly sexually explicit material from middle schoolers in the classroom, which is common sense.
I mean, and you're wondering why everybody's wondering why the pendulum is swinging so far right when it comes to, you know, over analyzing the content that our kids are reading. It's because of stuff like this. Like if you're going to equate this book to being a gay book, then people are going to equate eating feces and doing all of these nasty things to being gay. So then they're going to look at gay people.
But that's literally what they're doing.
I know. So it's like these people, if I wasn't gay, I would be looking at gay people like, oh, this is what you guys do? Like, it's gross. And I don't blame. It's so hard because it's like, I know that a lot of people on the far right are homophobic. But I can't say that if I wasn't gay, I wouldn't fall into that echo chamber with what's happening right now. Because anybody with a brain that sees this, that is not gay, is going to equate that to being gay, and it's really unfortunate.
I also think if you actually went around to just like normal gay people on the street and showed them this and said, do you think this should be given to kids, they would say no, right? But it's like the activists who are quoted in the media and who work at these LGBTQI2 Spirit 2+ nonprofits, they're the ones who do push this stuff, and they do it to, frankly, the harm of the rest of us.